So Agonizing Blast is still the same. Adds your spellcasting ability modifier to your spell damage. Fuck, yeah, okay. This is actually kind of cool. Armor of Shadows. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself without expending a spell slot. Sure. Ascendant Step. You can cast Levitate on yourself. Sure. You can cast Speak with Animals. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical. Eldritch Sight. You can cast Detect Magic. Do we see anything that changed yet? Nope, not really. Eldritch Spear is still here. Still like one of my personal favorite invocations, especially with Spell Sniper. I love it. Eyes of the Runekeeper. You can read all writing, but this ability does not decode secret messages, as they mentioned. Favor of the Chainmaster. Your bond with the familiar summoned by your pack familiar spell grows more powerful. Whenever the familiar hits with its Eldritch Strike, the target experiences the following effect associated with the familiar's creature type. Okay, cool. Target speed is reduced by 15. Can't take dash or disengage. Guiding Light. Next attack roll against the target before the end of your next turn is advantage, and the target becomes is no longer invisible. If the target is medium or smaller, it becomes prone. The target is the charmed condition. Okay, so here, if you pick this, it does kind of matter what your you can give someone poisoned, nice. Or frightened. You can choose whether the target is frightened of you or the familiar. That's kind of cool. Okay, so here it kind of matters what kind of familiar you pick then, I guess. Yeah, this is a cool little feature. I like this. Like being able to buff your familiar. Fiendish Vigor, I think, used to be a thing already. Gaze of Two Minds. What was this previously? Because they did say it changed. You can use a bonus action to touch a willing humanoid. Yeah. And perceive through its senses until the end of your next turn. As long as the creature is on the same plane of existence as you, you can use a bonus action on subsequent turns to maintain this connection. So you can pretty much look through someone else's mind. Okay. That's kind of cool. Now it becomes a bonus action. Okay. Sure. I don't know. Gift of the Protectors. A new page appears in the Book of Shadows when you conjure it. When your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that. Oh, right. Yeah. They can't be killed outright. That's kind of yeah. Liam used that once. It's a really cool ability. This, because he was being mysterious about it. He was like saying like, "Do you want to put your name into my book?" And nobody trusted him. So some people did, some people didn't. And then all of a sudden, one of those people who did got knocked out, and he was like, "No, you dropped to 1 hit point instead." And it was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Axe, when you have cast hedges, range is 600 feet and you have advantage on any constitution saving throw to maintain your concentration on the spell. Yay. I mean, I guess this works pretty well with fucking Eldritch Spear and double range. I still think you can probably combine Sorcerer and Warlock pretty decently. Oh well. Lessons of the first ones. You have received knowledge from an elder entity of the multiverse, allowing you to gain 1 feat of your choice, such as skilled, that is available to first level characters and that lacks prerequisites. You can get a free feat? Nice. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Life Drinker, this used to be a thing at least, is now 9th level instead of 12th. When you hit a creature with a weapon of your pact weapon spell, that creature takes an additional 1d6 necrotic damage. Used to be equal to your charisma modifier. In addition, the first time you deal necrotic damage with this invocation on each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to the necrotic damage dealt. Oh wait, but this is on every single hit. So every single time you hit a creature with a weapon of your packed weapon spell, the creature takes an extra 1d6 necrotic. Okay, that's kind of nice. Mask of Many Faces. Can cast Disguise Self at will. Master of Myriad Forms. Alter Self without expending a spell slot. Misty Visions. Cast Silent Image. Mystic Arcanum, so we already know. Yeah, I was looking if Misty Visions was yeah, you can cast Silent Image at will, okay. Mystic Arcanum. Your exploration of the arcane have unlocked magic within you. Choose one spell from the arcane spell list that is a level for which you qualify, as shown on the Mystic Arcanum table. Okay. For your Warlock level on the table, to see the maximum level that the spell can have. You can cast a chosen spell once without expending a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can do so. Repeatable each time you take this count. You can take this invocation more than once. Each time you do, the spell you gain must be of a different level from any other spell you've chosen for this invocation. So what you're saying is you can get like... You can still get spells from like 6, 7, 8, 9th level, as long as you're high enough Warlock level. The same way that we were able to get them with Mystic Arcanum back in the day. It's now just a... it's now just a thingy, invocation that you can choose and pick, which is probably why they increased the amount of invocations at least by 1. Okay, I mean, you know, that's cool. You can get Wish. Let's be honest. You can cast it once, which used to be the way Mystic Arcanum worked as well. So, and it used to be from the Warlock spell list, now it's just from the Arcane spell list, so... No, I'm fine with this. I think this is cool. This is good. One with shadows. When you are in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use your action to have the invisible condition. Was one with shadows a thing? It wasn't, right? Oh, you know, it was. Oh, cool. Okay. I didn't know there was one that allowed you to become invisible. Constantly, because there's no limit to this. It's kind of cool. Anyway, Otherworldly Leap, you can cast Jump, nobody cares. Repelling is still a thing. Was Repelling always like you can push him up? Nah, it used up to 10 feet away from you in a straight line. Now it's you can push that creature horizontally. Oh no, horizontally up to 10 feet. I thought it was horizontally up or 10 feet straight away from you. But it's horizontally up to 10 feet straight away from you. Arcane Eye, sure. Can cast Speak with Dead, sure. Which side? You have True Sight. So which side also got changed, I think, right? Used to be, you can see the true form of any shapeshifter or creature concealed by illusion or transmutation magic. I mean, sure, just call it True Sight at this point then. Warlock subclasses. Okay, Fiend. I'm actually really curious what they've done with this. This Fiend's pretty cool, but we'll see. Your pack draws on the power of the lower planes of existence, the homes of demons, devils, Yugoloths, and other fiends. When you choose this subclass, you might forge a bargain with a demon lord such as Demogorgon, Orcus, Frazur, Blue, or Baphomet. Archdevils such as Asmodeus, Despotter, Mephistopheles, or Belial. A pit fiend or Balor that is especially mighty, or an Ultraloth, or some other lord of the Yugoloths. Alternatively, you might call in a varied array of fiends without binding yourself to the service of one. In any case, your patron's aims are evil, the corruption or destruction of all things, ultimately including you, and your path will be defined by the extent to which you strive against those aims. I mean, sure. Okay. So we now have an expanded spell list. Rather than merely expanding your spell list, patron spells give you certain spells that you always have prepared. Okay, so now instead of you can get more choices, you prepare them as... I used to think Warlock already worked like that, but it doesn't. Oh, and once per long rest, you can cast one of those spells without a spell slots. That's kind of cool. Dark One's Blessing is now also triggered by an enemy dropping to 0 hit points. Dark One's Own Luck. Oh yeah, it used to be once per short rest. Now is once is equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. Fiendish Resilience no longer bypassed by magic or silver weapon. Okay. Sure. And Hurled Through Hell. Can I be used again? Okay. So let's see. So the patron spells. Prepared spells, you always have certain spells ready. You always have the spells prepared, and you can cast one of the prepared spells without expending a spell slot. So what do we get? What did we used to get from Fiends? So Burning Hands in Command is still the same. Did used to be at, first level, but details. Blindness, Deafness, and Scorching Ray is now Scorching Ray and Suggestion. Sure. Fear and Stinking Cloud used to be Fireball and Stinking Cloud. Blight and Wall of Fire used to be Fire Shield and Wall of Fire. And then Flame Strike and Insect Plague used to be Flame Strike and Hallow. So they went a little bit more supportive, I guess? Like Suggestion, Fear. But then they took Blight instead of Fire Shield, and then Insect Plague instead of Hallow. I don't know. I guess they just... I get what... I mean, they just removed Fireball, let's be honest. And Scorching Ray. I guess they wanted to... I would almost say they wanted to get rid of the idea of, like, a fiend is always a fire being, which... Let's be honest, like, Burning Hands... If you think about it, Burning Hands, Scorching Ray, Fireball, Wall of Fire, Fire Shield, Flame Strike used to be very fire-oriented. So, yeah, it makes sense. Oh! When you reduce an enemy to 0 hit points or an enemy drops to 0 hit points within 5 feet of you, I completely misread that. You gain temporary hit points. So now if you're in melee with someone, so this actually combines really well with Pact of the Blade then, I guess. Because you just get into melee with them and, even if you don't kill them, you still get the temporary hit points. So that's a pretty interesting change. I like that. Level 6, what was it? Oh yeah, so originally it was you can't use it until you finish a short or a long rest. Now it's regain all uses when you finish a long rest. You still add a d10 to your roll. You can do so after seeing the initial roll, but before the effects occur. On an ability check or a saving throw. Yep. And you can use this a number of times equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. Minimum of once. Weird that they're going ability modifier, not proficiency bonus. I thought they were going that way instead of... oh well, I mean, it's not my problem. And then 10th level Fiendish Resilience. You can choose one damage type other than Force. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you gain resistance to that damage type until you choose a different one with this feature. Okay. Oh yeah, because they now got rid of magical weapons and silver weapons. To be fair, like, magical weapons and silver weapons, like... I keep forgetting that 90% of the time anyway, to be perfectly honest. And then Hurled Through Hell, I don't think they really changed this, did they? When you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can use this feature to instantly transport the target through the lower planes. The creature disappears and hurtles through a nightmare landscape. At the end of your next turn, the target returns to the space it previously occupied, or the nearest unoccupied space. If the target is not a fiend, if the target is not a fiend, must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC upon its return. It used to be you just deal the 10d10 points of damage, which, to be fair, I think it makes sense that they need to make a save against it. But you can also expend a spell slot of at least 4th level when you use it to use it again. But you can only use the feature once per turn. Okay, and I think that's it for Warlock, right? Yeah. Warlock's a toughie. I very heavily had the same feeling with Warlock as I did with Action Surge, which is Warlock is very much this like kind of dippable class, right? You take 2 levels in it, and you will very likely find something on any of the charisma casters. On Sorcerer, you get your short rest free sorcery points / spell slots bullshit. On any class, you got Eldritch Blasts. On Paladin, you got additional spell slots that you got back on a short rest. On like Bard, you actually got a damaging cantrip. Even on like stuff that didn't necessarily use charisma, like I'm talking like fighter or whatever, you could probably use it. Like, you know, okay, Hexblade, like a full Hexblade used to be like 2 levels of fighter and then a bunch of Warlock, but even then, like, and especially because I think this is the thing, I've heard that homebrew rule already where Warlocks were allowed to use intelligence. Wisdom, I'm honestly not against either because, you know, Warlocks are very heavily compared to clerics already. Like, it makes sense that you're able to pick your spellcasting modifier, but at that point, especially with how dippable Warlock used to be, or is in 5th edition, if you do that, you're like, could you imagine like 5th edition Warlock with intelligence and multi-class it with a wizard? It'd be insane. That would be, I don't know how, actually, would that be insane? It probably would be. So this was a necessary change. The only reason that I'm really sad about this is because Warlock used to be special. Let's be honest about this. Warlock used to be special in like being the only class that got back its spell slots on a short rest rather than a long rest. And they didn't keep any of that. They just made it a half caster. Which, actually, speaking of half caster, one thing that I do want to check before we go on to the next part for multiclassing. Oh yeah, add your Warlock levels rounded up to the appropriate levels. So yeah. So yeah, I think this is good. I'm not against this. I think this is good. I think Warlock could be fun to play around with. Is it gonna be better than the old Warlock? I do hope that this is at least gonna allow it to kind of stand on its own 2 feet rather than be like this class that you just subclass into something else. I still think it's gonna be a good match with like 2 levels of Paladin. Just for Divine Smite, especially if you go with Pact. But yeah. I also think like the Eldritch Blast hits where like it now scales off your Warlock level makes sense. So the Hex change I'm not a fan of. I think Hex should have just been an arcane spell and should have just done what it did. I don't think Hex needed to get hit, especially again since Hunter's Mark I don't think got hit. So yeah. But I think it's fine.